to take a pickaxe and go out and work in the rock quarries with the rest of the prisoners. But I heard John say in about the 11th verse, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. Even though he's on this island, he can't go to church. His mind, no doubt, is with the churches that he has founded and pastored there on the Asian continent. But he can't be with them that Sunday morning. But in spite of that, he gets in the Spirit right where he is. Because God is omnipresent. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. It's good to know that, because you can't always be in church. You can't always even get to church. Oh, bless God, but you can know that wherever you are, God is. John on that island had the right attitude. He could have been like some of us when we get in these kind of situations, though not nearly as drastic as John's situation. We find ourselves with our heads down, looking down. But there ain't no help on the ground. No sense in looking down when you're going through. All that's going to do is fill you with a feeling of despair and despondency. Oh, most of the time it doesn't even pay to even look around too much when you're going through those dark days. If John would have simply looked around, saw the bleakness and the futility of his situation, he would have despaired further. But we read here what John did. The Bible said John looked up. Y'all don't hear me tonight. That's a good example for us when you don't like the way things are down here on the ground. Look up. Bible said, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. I will look unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord. And on this Lord's day, John is in the Spirit and he's looking toward heaven when all of a sudden he tells us in this chapter he saw a door appear in heaven. And the door in heaven opened. John standing there on the ground gazing up at that open door to glory. And you know the thoughts had to be going through his mind. I wonder what it's like up there. If only I could just get a glimpse of what it must be like behind that open door. And while he's standing there gazing, looking up at that open door in heaven, he hears a voice coming out of the door saying, come on up, John. I guess momentarily it had a flash through John's mind. I don't see no ladder like Jacob saw. I haven't grown no angel wings here all of a sudden. But yet I hear a voice saying, come on up. But before John could contemplate that command, instantly he found himself standing on streets of gold. Looks around and sees a glory like he had never been able to imagine in his mind. Not only were the streets and sidewalks made of gold, but the walls were made of jasper. Gates were made of pearls. Foundation, 12 precious stones. He's standing on this golden ground. And as he gazes about him and his eyes began to somewhat adjust to the brightness of celestial glory, he sees a throne. This huge throne, so big that a river flows out of underneath of the throne. And as he's looking, he notices who is sitting on the throne. And with his limited vocabulary, he tries to describe in terms best he could what that person looked like that was sitting on that throne. You ever wondered what God looks like? Well, John tries to tell us here. John said his face looked like jasper. Round his head was a rainbow. Oh, bless his name. And when I read that, his face was like jasper with beryl stone. You know, some of us are getting caught up in what they're calling black theology. And of course I can understand it. It's simply a response to the white theology that they've tried to cram down our throats all our lives. We've had the conception that Jesus was a blue-eyed blonde and all of the angels are white folks. Y'all don't hear me. I mean, basically those are the only pictures that we have seen. But somebody began to do a little bit of studying and come to find out if Jesus was a Jew and Solomon was one of his granddaddies, and Solomon said himself he was black. Y'all don't hear me. That Jesus could not have been a blue-eyed blonde. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. But not that should matter all that much. Because being Jesus, if he was a white man, he'd still be fair with me. Y'all don't hear me. We don't want to make the mistake of adopting the prejudices of those that once held us in bondage. Hate doesn't help anybody. Feeling superior to another person doesn't help anybody. We must appreciate the fact we are all created equal. Out of one blood, God created the whole human race. So you don't get me going around and propagating the fact that I believe Jesus was black and the disciples was black and all of that. It really doesn't make all that much difference. But John